you got to start by defining what's your goal. What are you aiming for? And you really want to have one overarching goal in your project. I think, you know, I'm definitely someone who believes that in many key points when it comes to trying to achieve something, you want to just be very clear and focused on one thing at a time. And you know, that goal needs to be, you know, targeted. The group has to agree on what that target is, why you're doing it. That also needs to be a part of your goal, because usually the why also influences the what of what you're doing. What do you know coming in, and what do you not know? And that's also going to affect what are you going to do during the course of your project. And then understanding what your limitations are, which will speak to shaping your scope. So how do you start? Well, you know, you take those elements that we just went through, and you have to land on something that is realistic. And so when you think about planning to get from a point A to a point B, like in a race here, as we have laid out, you know, it's understanding what's needed to fill that gap, you know, getting at those limitations related to what money do you have, what people do you have, how much time do you have, and really stacking that up against, you know, our ideal goal, what are we trying to reach, and recognizing, okay, you know, in a world where we're always constrained by at least one of these things, if not all of them, usually it's all of them, how do you then tailor the goal to fit what you have, or even at this point, potentially raise a flag and say, you know, we're really just not going to even achieve anything if we're stuck within these limitations. So let's have this conversation now and see what else is possible. Taking the time right at the beginning to really scrutinize that and make sure that you have something realistic that will get you closer to that goal, or as close to your goal as you can, and informing then everybody who's a stakeholder and a decision maker about what that is really, really critical to making sure that once you get through that, you've got that alignment, the expectations have been set. So that really all gets back to defining a scope. And a good scope shouldn't just talk about what you're doing, but it should also include at a cost, with how many people involved, over what time frame. You always want to make sure you embed those limitations directly in the scope.